Hey everyone, welcome back to a sim racing experience. My name's Jose and I'm a sim racer here in Miami. And on one of my thought trains the other day, I asked myself a question of what is mental health? I see a lot of people doing posts about mental health and I see a lot of people talking about mental health. But I kind of want to dive into what my thoughts are on the subject, what mental health is to me, and how I've experienced issues with mental health and how I've overcome them. So to me, mental health has been kind of getting out of this sinking feeling, and for many years I would wake up and within 5 seconds of opening my eyes or within 5 seconds of realizing that I was awake, it was a negative thought that would just put my body into this sinking feeling for the entire day. And after years I kind of learned to deal with it, and it just became to a point where I couldn't deal with it anymore and started talking about it, and I started seeing where it would alleviate. But even from there, the anxiety still lived with me, and it wasn't until I started changing my mindset. And when it comes to changing a mindset, I had no idea how to do that. It was one of the most difficult things, if not the most difficult thing I've ever had to do, because you somehow make a change somewhere at some point in your life, and at that point you change your mindset for whatever reason it may have been, and you just build a pattern that you continue to live with for the rest of your life. And getting out of that pattern is extremely difficult. So once I started getting out of that pattern, I started noticing that I also deal with OCD. So a lot of my OCD was just trying to go back to those thoughts, and I guess a lot of it was really because I really had nothing else going on in my life. I would just go to work, come home, and that was it. My brain really had a lot of free time. So it was very difficult to deal with. And once I started realizing that what I needed to do was fill my mind with more things, I just started doing that. I started working on my ideas. I started believing in my ideas, and little by little, I was able to get to a better place. At my last job, somebody that I worked with told me without me even looking for it, he's like, listen, you're unhappy because you want to be unhappy. So I think from the very next day, I took that, and I'll never forget that. And it almost felt like it made the most sense in the world. I think that I was at a point in my life where I wanted to be unhappy because perhaps I wanted to feel bad for myself, or I wanted other people to feel bad for me. And somewhere along the way, I had made a conscious decision that I was going to be unhappy. And that's the pattern that I was on for probably 20 to 25 years, or maybe not that long, but it was definitely a good 15 years that I had to deal with that. So being able to wake up that next day and being able to make a conscious decision, like, wait, I'm allowed to make this conscious decision, like I don't have to have this thought pattern. So I made that conscious decision that I was going to, from that day forward, try and have a better day. And I think from that day forward, a new pattern began where I started taking that and just applying it everywhere that I could. Fast forward a little bit, I was at the karting track talking to somebody, and they had really liked my photography, and they had told me to just get the whole business thing started. And by the end of that day, a lot of the business was already in place, and I had no idea what to expect, but it was something that I absolutely loved, taking an idea outside of my mind and creating it. And for the first time ever, this time it actually worked, and it produced a food photography business that has now been running for 2 years, and I've been able to shoot at some of the most amazing restaurants here in Miami, Bahamas, and I've been able to do a lot of traveling and been able to meet a lot of people. And through this new pattern, I have completely changed my mindset. I still deal with the anxiety and the depression at times, but I know that 99% of it is just made up in my head, and now I know how to get out of it. So it becomes a lot easier once you at least get onto a new pattern. So from there, I got into the whole sim racing thing, and this is where I think my mental health took almost it almost sped up, and ironically enough, doing it, driving a pretend race car. This is where I really felt that my mental health started really getting to a point that I was feeling incredibly confident. I was feeling normal, whatever that means. And I've taken that and I have continued to build my confidence. There's times where I'm on track on iRacing and it's just a terrible day, or somebody hits you, or I hit somebody, and of course it pisses you off and it's annoying, but you know the end game and you know what you're trying to achieve. And perhaps it's because I spend so much time by myself and I'm able to think about these things, but I now know that it's not as big as we tend to make things be in our brain. So the whole sim racing thing, I'm able to do something that I did when I was growing up. When I was 5 years old, I started go-karting, and right about when I was 8 years old, we stopped just because we were moving here to Miami from Puerto Rico, and the karting thing, we couldn't pursue it. It was too expensive. Life here in the United States was obviously more expensive, I would think. I was so little. I really had no concept of money back then, so I really didn't know. I was very fortunate that I had a family that was able to pick up from one place and leave, and they never put my sister and I through a struggle. And I think that not struggling has given me such an amazing opportunity to put my brain and put my mind and my heart to build something, and to take everything that I've learned over the last 30 years of my life and continue to build. And mental health has been something that me personally, I have spent so much time trying to understand it and figure it out. Not in the sense that I'm here to give humanity and give society advice on depression and anxiety, because I'm nowhere near qualified for that. My point is just to share my experience and to share my thoughts on what I've experienced and how I've been able to overcome it. And a lot has been forcing myself to just be in a positive mindset. And at first, it feels incredibly weird. You're like, why am I feeling this way? And being happy, or making a conscious decision to be happy, that can also cause anxiety, just because it doesn't make sense at first. But once you get into the pattern of it, it completely becomes second nature. It's just like anything else. And coming out of it, I feel like I think the same way that I used to think back when I was little, before everything was made up in my head. And it's been really cool to feel the way I felt back when I was little. And then this gives me that same competitive feeling that I used to have when I was growing up. And we were at the go-karting track Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This was every single weekend when I was growing up. Even before I started karting, my dad was doing it every single weekend. So we were at the track every single weekend, and we were around cars and around karting every single weekend. Even the family business was karting. So having this here has been incredible. I mean, it's been the most amazing thing, being able to get on track whenever I want, get on track whenever, or not necessarily, or get on track whenever I need to, and just go out there, do a few laps or do a few races and feel competitive. And I grew up feeling competitive on the weekends, and that was my life. I never really did anything else, and for so long I was away from it, and of course I've missed it like crazy. So now that I'm able to do it in the comfort of my office and in the comfort of my house here, it's so incredible. So basically, now I have a tool that helps me every single day with my mental health. You know, I continue to get better at it. It continues to build my confidence on track. I'm able to take that confidence that I build on track. Next time I get in a race, I feel better, and usually when I do better, I'm able to take that confidence, and usually in the mornings I'll have a coffee and I'll do a race, and to me there is no better taste than coffee and victory in the morning. So being able to start my day, winning a race in the simulator, or even if I just do well, I take that confidence with me the entire day, and it really picks me up and keeps me up the entire day. So I'm very fortunate to have this tool here. It's taken a while to get it to where it's at now, and I really look forward to continuing to build this and continuing to build my craft on the sim, and really continuing to build my confidence as a person, and just again being able to share it with as many people as I can. So if you like this video, I would really appreciate a like. If you are into sim racing or mental health, or just want to come and hang out, please feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. See you later.